Howdy, and welcome to the Mr. Maple Show. We just finished filming Phil Seibel's top species maples, and we're about to get into his top 5, 7, 8 cultivars of Japanese maples, y'all. So get excited. Go check out that other one if you haven't yet. But guys, we're about to drop these. How long have you been growing trees?
Since the early 90s, so 30 plus years.
What was your very first maple?
Araput, a seedling Araputum, how to say that?
Yeah.
That would be my first maple.
That's where a lot of people start out.
And,
that's where my parents started out growing seedling Japanese maples 50 years ago.
It's a reddish colored, they just generically call them
Atropurpureum.
however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my pronunciation of probably everything is wrong, but that's how.
Well, the best thing you can do is make your best attempt, and there's so many different ways people say things. We were pushing around Peter Gregory around the Japanese gardens, and he was like, "Oh, there's a nice Orino nishiki," and we were just told by some Japanese people that you're supposed to say nishiki. And so, if the guy wrote the book on Japanese maples doesn't always say that everything exactly correct, don't be afraid to say something incorrect. Just get out there and enjoy the Japanese maples.
And until I started coming out to open houses and such like that, most of my communications was in the written word. Well,
yep.
I don't have to worry about pronunciation there. I can spell it, but sometimes it takes a couple times to even figure out we're talking about the same maple sometimes.
All right, let's get into your top maples. What you got?
Okay, number 7. This is a new entry into since the last open house. When I picked up here, really impressed me. It knocked Nanny Wabeni out of the top 7, Arctic Flame. I walked into open house not even knowing about this maple. You mentioned something at the gate. I saw it there. I grabbed it. It's killer. And then I start seeing somebody else post it and says, "Wow, this is the best thing I got from open house." I said, "Yeah, me too." And I didn't even go in looking for it. And then Matt starts posting pictures of the spring look, and I can't wait. It's a great tree.
I mean, you got Arctic Flame. You're talking about a tree that we don't have in huge production yet, but we are producing it here at Mr. Maple. It's one of those cool plants that has colors that are unlike anything else. I mean, it's just like this weird shade of white that's just outstanding, and it's very desirable. You're going to start this red panda hype because it's something that not many people know about yet, but we've offered it a few times here. We're going to have it in numbers. We're going to be producing the hound out of it here at Mr. Maple, so don't worry, y'all. It's a rock star. It's really awesome. It's sort of on that secret list, but it fell into his top list, so we got to tell you about it today.
And if I don't watch it, my daughter wants one so bad I may become missing mine. So we'll try to keep a hold on it.
She's fell in love with maples from coming to the open house.
Well, she grew up with me, but yeah, she's last open house. She's up there still shopping right now. She's out shopping me today. So.
That's what I was saying is like, she's come to the open house. When she first came to the open house, I was like, oh, this is his daughter. I expected someone who was just going around, maybe get 1 or 2 plants. But you could tell that she was as passionate as you were, and she was taking home as many or more than you were.
Yeah, I was surprised when she had 12 to pick up like I did today, and that 12 put her over 60 cultivars, and where she's going to be by the time we end today, I don't know. I mean, she's got a way to catch Dad, though. I'm over today. I'll be over 360 cultivars, and I'm closing on 600 trees. So
wow.
But I've left a lot of big trees behind. A couple moves. I'm not living where I did when I started maples, and that's kind of tough. But there's always another tree to get.
All right, Phil, what do you have as your number 6?
I got to go with the Japonicum because Japonicums are dear to me. Like I said in the other, I love the branching structure. I just love the structure of the tree. Nothing wimpsy, blowing around in the wind about them. And to me, when I think Japonicums, it's got to be Meo Kujaku or Anconsolata folium, or however you want to pronounce it.
Fern leaf, or all the different names.
But the tree is great. Dancing peacock. We forgot the name people use the most, but you really see it's just beautiful leaf. Japonicums rule fall. I tell you. Yeah, there you go. Japonicums rule fall. I mean, especially you get those big plates of color, and you get you get the purples, the yellows, the oranges, some green, all on the same leaf. The reds, everything is there, and that's. I mean, every fall's a reminder why I love Japonicums, and to me, Mejia kujaku and that and Vitifolium were probably my first Japonicums, and I've got a good part of the list now. And like said in the other video, a lot of people say, well, they're all quite a lot similar. And yeah, some of those bigger dinner plate ones, are very similar. But if you like that look, you like them all.
Yeah, Meiku Jaku, that was my very first Acer Japonicum. We started growing this at Mr. Maple early on, and it was one of those trees that we fell in love with. It was a fun tree to graft, a fun tree to have available. It was something that stood out. And it stood out in a lot of people's gardens because it has that sort of tropical-like feel to it. The leaves are bigger. And in the early spring when we'd be at a garden show, sometimes there'd even be blooms on some of our 3-gallons. People fell in love with this tree. So what do you have next?
Number 5 on my favorite cultivars, I have Naguri nishiki. Now, I tell you, this thing's in danger of leaving out because I have a little trouble with it, keep it alive, but that color, that white, I mean, I like pictums in total, but Naguri nishiki, I guess I've had Kamaski nishiki and usigomo, and I got the straight Hosi Udere, but I also got one that's just green. But yeah. I just like them. And to be honest, if there was more cultivars available, I don't know. It'd be pretty hard to knock off anybody above them on the list. But
Naguri nishiki is awesome, though.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's just that white flecking variegation. I remember we just came back from Japan, and Mark Wethington was going to Japan after me, and he sent me a photo and he said, "Do you have this tree?" And it was Naguri nishiki, because he wanted to make sure someone in America had Naguri nishiki, because it really is game changing. I mean, you get this Acer pictum batwing leaf with white flecking variegation, and it looks almost like it's white with flecks of green almost, because it's so white. There's nothing else quite like it. We did a video on usugumo, but we did the bad thing of making the video with usugumos with Naguri nishikis behind it. And so everyone were looking at the Naguri nishikis behind it, and all the comments of the video are, yeah, usugumo looks great, but what's the tree behind it? Because it is that much more dynamically white.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a rock star when it comes to plants, and it is so white, it's incredible.
It's great.
So what do you have next? Is number 4?
Number 4, I do like variegated, so I threw one variegated in there. The one that seems to have been most stable, beautiful tree for me, I've seen it on other people's side, as Lilianne's Jewels.
Yeah.
It might not be there for long, but because there's some risers that might knock it out, but I thought, I do like variegation, so I need to put something in there. Although I do have another variegated down here lower on, but it's just a tree. I mean, to me, haven't really had good luck with Rainbow or some of the others, but I mean, you don't even need to. Does anybody ever have to trim out Lilianne's Jewel?
It's rare. It's rare. It's extremely rare. Mm-hmm. I've seen a few people call reverted Lilianne's Jewel Redbird, and I've seen some people call it Cecilia, but it's very rare. I mean, because you get more variegation on branches than you do non-variegated branches by far.
Yeah.
And so if you're grafting and you're grafting a million plants, if you had one little spot that was reverted, you could create a reverted Lilianne's Jewel. Very extremely rare. It's one of the most stable red on pink on red variegated Japanese maples of them all. It was a selection that was found by our good friend Jonathan Savlich, named after his daughter Lilianne. Some people have put the wrong name on it of Lil Annie's Jewel. That's incorrect. Some people in Europe have started to call this tree Extravaganza. That is also incorrect. The real name on this tree is Lilianne's Jewel, named after Jonathan Savlich's daughter Lilianne. I mean, when I got the tree, Lilianne was, about waist high, just running around the garden with her and Del Laux and her dad, and such an amazing plant though. And the red on pink, it's unlike anything. It's so striking. It grabs your attention, and it's heat tolerant. It's easy to grow. It's fairly stable in the variegation. And if you see a larger one of these, like we've got some huge, like 40, 50 gallon plants of these at Buckholtz Nursery. Oh my goodness, they are to die for. And you know how sometimes we'll even have some pink sports that are, you know, about the size of a beach ball that are completely pink on Lilianne's Jewel. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I've got a pretty good size. Well, it needs to go in the ground, and you guys are saying it takes sun pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's kind of placement. I think it's in a 10 gallon right now. I've had it for a few years and growing it up, and there's a lot of stuff going in the ground this year. I can't keep what I need to lessen my water efforts, put it that way.
So we're down to your number 3 Japanese maple.
Kumoi nishiki. It's just it keeps some kind of color year round. It just, I know it's been around, but it's just tough tree, easy to grow. It's just a winner for me. I just love it.
It actually hasn't been around that long.
Really?
It was introduced in Japan probably about 2008, 2010.
Oh, okay.
And when we went to Japan, all the Japanese nurserymen were still bragging, look at this cool plant. Because it was so starkly different than what people think of Acer subuldianum. Acer subuldianum is in section palmata. It's closely related to the Japanese maples. It's got that full moon style leaf, but there's been nowhere that people found variegation in a full moon style like they did with Kumoi nishiki. And you get all the different shades of green, cream, white, and the fall colors on Kumoi nishikis are really gorgeous shades of yellows infused with orange, and you can still see the variegation. And so it has a really nice upright habit too. Give it some protection from the hot afternoon sun in most climates, but that is a killer, number 3.
Yeah, and I got 3 of it, and it's killing me not to bring one of them home. I saw on House Over or so here again, but
we try to keep it in stock.
Yeah.
So we're coming down to your number 2 Japanese maple. What do you got?
Okay, number 2, Purple Curl. I don't care who said only a mother could love that tree. I don't think Talon knows what he was talking about. Whoever said that, but we know he does, and he probably
he introduced the tree, so you know he loves
said that facetiously. But if kaleidoscope wasn't a name that was already used or something, that would be the true name for this tree. Mine, I got one. I had 5. Now I got 4. Amy's got one of them. The ones that I've had for a couple years are totally different colors than the one I got from last open house here. They're not, but they all have the curl. They're more reddish, goldish, bronze with purple. They are just a kaleidoscope. And then I know he said that by August that tree's worn out. Mine ain't worn out. It's September. My tree's kicking it still. All of them.
I love the new growth. Is just like this really nice shade of red if you get it vigorous. But then as it ages, it starts to get more of that curl and that crunch kind of look to it, and you get that weird shades of yellowish variegation on the inside. It's crazy how it just has this weird crunchy curling. And then this malting variegation on top of that.
Malting, that's the word. Yeah.
I mean, it is outrageous. And to me, it's one of those collector plants that everybody wants because it's so uniquely different. But if you're not into Japanese maples, it may be so uniquely different that you might not want it. So it kind of fits in that category. I get where Talon said if somebody wanted like a bloodgood or something, they wouldn't want a purple curl. That makes sense because they aren't as sophisticated in their knowledge of Japanese maples. And then when you see purple curl and the way the leaves curl and twist, I mean, it's a photographer's delight, and it's a tree you're just going to continue to love in the garden. It's awesome.
Yeah, the only one that seems similar to me, I love Magic Moon, but it puts Magic Moon to shame for me so far.
Magic Moon's one of our introductions, but they're both awesome. We bought Buckholtz Farm, so I can't. I'm not going to get into the mix of which one is better between the two, but he's got it as number 2.
Yeah, got it number 2. And number one, and this just comes from its contribution to everything we see around us. It's got to be Mikawa. And I know that's not an unusual number one, but how can I deny her? You know, she's my favorite tree in my yard is when I started back in the 90s, about that big. Oh, she just does what Mikawa does, reaches out and grabs and stuff, and she's about this tall now. I've got probably, I don't know how many I have. And then just all her prodigy, you know, just there's not a maple that I think's contributed more than Mikawa.
Yeah, everyone's in love with the Mikawa family collection as we talk about it here at Mr. Maple. From Japanese Princess, which was the first color variant, to Red Panda, which is our introduction with the red color, to Tattoo with that heavily serrated leaves.
My daughter's getting a bald and burlap tattoo loaded in my van right now, I think. That's...
So y'all, there's some killer Mikawa variants, and it's all because of Mikawa yatsubusa. People fell in love with this tree. It has this animal-like, lively feel. It looks like what people think of a bonsai in the landscape. It just has this tightly layering habit. It's got great colors. It's easy to grow. It's got good fall colors.
It's tough. Great fall. I mean, some of her children haven't been that easy for me, but her herself is just takes everything. Doesn't need nothing.
Yeah, it's an amazing selection. It was the very first maple of the year with the North American branch of the Maple Society, and it is a classic. I mean, it is one that if you don't have a Mikawa yatsubusa in your collection, what are you doing? Go to Mr. Maple. We typically have it always available on Mr. Maple because it is one of those trees that's hard to find for a lot of people. It's not the easiest to propagate, but I'm telling you, it is easy to grow and it's really beautiful.
And I love it.
Well, y'all, that was Phil's top 7,
8,
something like that, Japanese maples. So let him know what you thought about these in the comments. If you haven't seen his top species maples video, go check that out as well. Y'all, thanks so much. Thanks for watching. Take care. God bless and have a great day.
God bless.